Hello out there. We're on the air. Welcome to Draw 3 of the 2024 Moped Women's Arena Playdowns, brought to you by doubletakeout.com. This is a game between Team Asis of Silicon Valley Curling facing Team Malia of Wine Country Curling. Rocks and play, we're underway. Happy to have you guys with us, and we hope it's going to be a good one. We're keeping track of both games here at Lake Tahoe Epic Curling. The second game is between Team Feldman of Wine Country and Team Tucker of also of Wine Country. There's a lot of Wine Country teams in this field, which is good. It's really awesome to see a club building competitive squads. And also an event like this, as I mentioned in the last draw, is really geared to offer a competitive experience for teams that are newer. There are 6 teams in this field, and with the number of teams that we have, we are able to do a full round robin with 4 games today and 4 draws tomorrow. Pardon me, draws. So Malia has a hammer. The advantage of going last. It's important because that's your last chance to make a difference in the end.
Eric, real quick. I just want to make sure. So, with the person who picked left from Aaron, it was Augustine. Is it correct? It says Augustine, but I thought that. No, Aaron drew it. I watched you draw it. Okay. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that. Okay.
So we have Kathleen Alsmeyer delivering the rock.
Yes. Here's the last. Okay.
And we'll see where that ends up. Ends up hitting the red through the house, out of play. We're keeping track of all the scores at bonspieler.com. Bonspieler is where to go to get the latest scores and standings throughout this event. As I mentioned, we have round robin play through Saturday. We have set aside Sunday for our championships. There's 21 different scenarios to set up the playoffs, and so we're going to let you know more about that as we get closer to the playoffs. Kathleen's second stone coming down the way. This will be a gentle takeout weight, about hack. And Asis is sitting shots with a Malia stone at about 10 o'clock on the left wing there. It's always kind of fun to use the curling house as a clock dial. Apparently back in the day, they used to broadcast curling games over the radio. And so the announcer had to figure out how to call the action and let people know where things were in the house. I wonder if there's any broadcasts surviving, because it would be interesting to hear. So this next Malia stone is a tight guard, close to about 11 o'clock on the curling house dial. First stone coming from the third for Asis. Flips off that guard. And now it sets up a double for Malia. As we see the third, I believe, Zoe Canavas get set. Looking for a double, or to open things up at least. Gets one of them. It does open things up a bit. But Asis, I think, is going to try and draw around that as Jennifer has the broom down. That's a pretty smooth release there. It's not really coming back. That's just going to kick the red into the house. So now Asis is shot, but Malia has the second and third rocks. We see Allison Malia deliver her first rock of the game. Looks to be up weight. Gets her rock out of the way and also gets the blue moving, but not enough to get it out of the house. So it's Malia sitting first and third shot, while Asis has that blue at about 430. On the curling clock dial. Jennifer Asis makes her way down the ice. Jennifer is the new president of our association, MOPAC, the Mountain Pacific Curling Association. And we definitely appreciate her accepting the nomination and becoming the leader of our group. Let's see here. Looking to, I think, make some contact on that blue. Or make that contact on the red. I can tell colors. So that red is gone. And so now kind of changes things a bit, where Asis is sitting first and second. And Malia has that red sitting third shot at about 10 o'clock. So they're looking over the angles here, I think. I think what they would want to do is, I think they want to hit and roll under the guard. I mean, They could roll across the house, but it's a pretty long roll. And it's the first end. I don't know if they need it necessarily. Is this the last rock to the end? No. Oh, I thought Asis had the hammer. Or no, I thought Malia had the hammer. Okay, well, I'm going to fix that. Digitally, not in real life. Okay, I don't think they changed the scoreboard. Oh, well. So, Malia's stone comes up a little short, it looks like. And Asis has a chance for 3. And just a draw needs to be full. Oh, wait, no. They're sitting 3 because I think Malia hit the rock the wrong way. So I think she hit a blue. The blue went onto the red in the house. That blue jammed, and they're sitting 3 now for Aces. Just an unfortunate error there. So now this is the true last rock of the first end with Jennifer Aces. Just a draw, need to touch paint for 4. This is coming up a little light, and it's over curling a little bit. It's going to clip one of the blues, and it's not going to be enough, I don't think. So I think it's 3, but we shall see when we come right back to our broadcast of draw 3 of the 2024 MoPatch Women's Club Playdowns. Women's Arena Playdowns, my goodness. We'll be right back. And tonight's broadcast is brought to you by DoubleTakeout.com. DoubleTakeout.com is, as I said, a curling geek's dream site. Every week, or most of updated constantly through the curling season. Proprietor Ken Pomeroy provides stats and insights of your favorite competitive curling teams from around the world. That's all at doubletakeout.com. So they're not posting the score. We'll find out in just a moment. All right, as rocks are in play here in the second end, I know that Malia has the hammer. I don't know the score. But I'm being joined in the broadcast by Tessa Brocky.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
So, Tessa, maybe you could introduce the team that you're on.
I am on Team New York. hours. So this is our one break for the day. Out of a 4-draw game, this is our one time we're not playing this Friday.
And so, because of the format, you have one day with 3 games, and then the second day you only have 2 games.
Yes. So this is a nice little bit of a break for us right now. And we've got a couple of people timing, one person napping, and then I'm joining you.
And I appreciate that. As I mentioned, you in a previous broadcast, you're part of a composite team with Team Yours. Maybe you can explain a little bit about how your team came together and what's it like to be on a composite team.
Yeah, so I mean, USA Curling made the announcement back in the spring that we can have a composite team for arenas now, and so we are taking full advantage of that. I play out of the Oval, as you know, and then Kira and Lena both play out of Orange County, and Anne plays out of Wine Country in Sacramento. Kira and Lena have known each other. They played together last year on the women's arena team for their club, and they also went to the 5U Nationals together on the same team. And then I've played against Kira and Queena at a few events in passing, and including a couple of 5Us this past year. And so when the announcement came up, it was just kind of suggested that maybe they reach out. And so they reached out to me, and I believe they reached out to Anne as well. And we started having a couple of Zoom calls and some practice time in San Francisco, and we're trying to make the most of it here this weekend.
I guess one of the questions that would come up is that, with a composite team, you don't get to practice regularly with your team because you're not in the same club. It sounds like you've done some things to maybe address that. Maybe you could expand on that.
Yeah, so back in June, we all met in San Francisco and had some practice time together for the weekend. I think collectively we spent about 10 hours on the ice between those 2 days, which is a lot of ice time for 2 days. And then when we were off ice, we had some off ice coaching and kind of psych work of just making sure we're all on the same page and understanding who we are as players, and a great fun dinner where we kind of just got to let loose and kind of see all of our personalities. And I think that's really made the difference in how we play and connect on the ice. And I mean, you saw us. I think we have a fun time out there, and we definitely try to make the game as enjoyable as possible.
Yeah, chemistry and team attitude, I think, are important elements. You definitely saw some shimming happening on the ice, that last drive.
Kira and I are basically twins. We're both the same age. We both have the same job almost. We both danced for 20 years of our lives, so it's very easy to throw out a dance move and just kind of vibe off of that when we're playing a game.
So, looking at the situation, Malia had 2 in the house, 2 in the rings, and Asis did a really good job of punching those out, and then Malia was able to sink another one into the rings. Asis is sending shots without hammer, and so now we see the third for Team Asis.
Looks like she's trying to hit this one on the side.
And that would be Julie Wolf.
She was playing second against us earlier this morning.
They're a 5-person team on Team Aces. And it punched it.
Great hit.
Really clean.
It's undercover as well. It looks really good. So, I mean, Asis's team is a really strong hitting team. I think we've seen that from them before. They played kind of like that last year, and they played like that this morning as well. And that's just something that they've got an advantage to.
And I think Aces, I haven't talked to them, but they're in Silicon Valley. It's arena ice, but they are close to Oakland, so they might be able to give to San Francisco to do some practice and maybe some game time on dedicated ice.
I imagine that's the case. That's a very smart move. And
There is a rule that you can't have too many games on dedicated ice,
yep.
but
Not more than 10.
and also you can bond spill as much all you want on dedicated ice. So Malia put up a guard. I don't know if that's what they wanted.
I would guess not. I mean, because Asis is still sitting 4 right now, so that doesn't really help Malia at all in this game.
Well, and Tessa, you're playing lead for this event, but you often skip at the Oval, or vice at the Oval. I was talking in previous games that there's kind of a point where you kind of have to decide during the end where the strategy that you have isn't working, and you have to just kind of bail out and stuff.
That's the hardest thing to do as a skip. Even when I play in events, I will ask that question to the skips I play against when we are broom stacking at the end, because oftentimes they either pick a great time to pivot, and it's one of those thought processes that I really am still trying to learn as well. Looks like Malia is trying to clear out the front.
Looking to, just based on the handle, it seems like they're going to go after the blue. I would think there would be a way to double this.
It's got the weight for it. Does it have the right line?
Ooh.
Oh, there we go. That's a nice
Okay.
clear. Definitely open things up.
And so at this point, I'm not saying they're bailing out of this end, but it definitely opens things up so that the team with a hammer at least has a chance to score, which is one of the strategies that you at least you want to score more than 2 points, 2 or more points. But if you are facing a lot of opponent stones, you at least want to be able to score.
Yeah.
So we're already to skip stones as Jennifer makes her way down the ice. The broom's down. What do you think she's going to do here?
I mean, right now there's easily sitting 4. If you just go and guard that 1 in the 4-foot, you're sitting super strong. And I'm gonna guess that's what she's doing.
Yeah, I was thinking guard 2, and then at this point, Malia is facing maybe giving up a steal of 1 if you're lucky, because you maybe draw down to the bottom 4 foot, cut it down at least a little bit. So
She's just cleaning it. She doesn't need to sweep any harder, and they like that. But is it gonna curl anymore to cover much?
it's going a little
Right.
deep too.
It does cut off any opportunity for Malia to try and draw with that backing of the stone that's kind of
Yeah.
touching the back forward.
But you could still maybe, they're going for a draw, it looks like, based on the broom.
They need to, because if they're not right on their hit, it doesn't do them any favors at all.
That's fair. I was thinking, like, if and it's always challenging to do a hit and roll, but I was thinking you can maybe hit and maybe roll under, like, to the 4 foot or something, and that would be covered for the pretty much. Maybe salvage 2 out of this if it's possible, but I think getting rid of at least 1 is got to be vital. So Malia shots away. This is kind of hanging out.
It's coming in.
Yeah.
It's kind of a late curl on that sheet, so we're gonna hit a little bit, and that does remove some stones from counting. If I know Asis, she's going to come down and hit that rock that she just threw.
There's a bit of a pocket, so if Asis can make those two go away, it's a pretty blue house.
Oh yeah.
You can count. I'm seeing 5 blues in that house right now,
Yep, that's what I'm counting.
and without the hammer. And so the forest would definitely be on. I think in this situation, I think making at least one of the reds go away is vital, but you don't want to run a risk of like maybe having that one of the reds jam in the back.
Yeah, but even if you knows that red that's closer and it goes flying, you're sitting at least 4 rocks.
But I guess also if you get rid of that blue in the back somehow, it would make it more
There
challenging
it
for.
goes. Very nice, very nice.
So one of the reds goes, and avoiding the jam, that blue rolls under cover for the most part. About half of the forfeit's open for a draw.
But right now, if you score it, the score is 4 blue.
So Malia's facing a bit of a challenge. She's been curling for 2 years.
This is hammer rock, so she really just needs to throw a guard. And if it's biting the forefoot, that's the point.
This is the last rock here in the seconds. Let me show you a view you guys watching the stream. There's some backing though. I think she's going to go for the backing.
She's going to hit backing, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. There we go.
It looks like it's a steal, perhaps, looking at the overhead in the warm
Looks like
room.
it's 1 blue.
Yeah. But considering how much blue is in that house, sometimes you gotta take what you can get. So I'm marking as a 1 for now. I gotta bounce into Bonspieler, so we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back with myself. Hopefully Tessa will join us, but maybe she'll bounce too. So we'll be right back as we continue with our coverage of the 2024 MOPAT Women's Arena Playdowns. All right, welcome back to draw 3 of the 2024 MOPAT Women's Arena Playdowns. I'm joined by Tessa Brocky of Team Viewers. Thank you. Also curling out of the Oval Curling, but it's a composite team viewers, and 2 are from Orange County, that's right, and 1's from Wine Country.
Yep.
So how's the competition been so far? Because obviously I've been saying one of the goals of this event is to provide opportunities for teams to play in a competitive environment as close to as close to nationals as we can get.
Yeah, so I mean, my first game this morning was against Asis, and that was a great game. I think we played well and tried to keep it as close as possible. And I mean, that's a great game to kind of shake everything up. We haven't been on the ice here yet. Not everyone's ready to sweep that early in the morning because all of our leagues are late at night. That was a good game, I think, for us. Just a really strong opponent. And then the second game we played, we got to play against Tucker, and that was on the stream. And we had a little bit more luck to that one. Tucker's team wanted to keep playing a few extra ends, and purely that just comes down to, I think, a lot of arena players, when we get on dedicated ice, we just want to take advantage of having good ice and learning from it. So that was a really fun game as well.
So this is the second stone from the Malia lead. It's Kat Slovaki.
I'm glad you're saying that right.
I hope I'm saying it right. And this is Kathleen with her first. So maybe you could also maybe talk about what it's like to go from an arena environment to dedicated ice, like some of the differences that you might see.
I'll get to that answer, but the first answer to that question is when you play on dedicated ice for a weekend and then you go back to arena, you kind of have a dedicated ice hangover. Just from playing on good ice, and dedicated ice often runs faster, so when you go back to arena ice, you're probably throwing cards and hogging it just because you've had to slow down your delivery. And I mean, the same goes in reverse. So going from arena to here, first thing we did this morning with our 10-minute practice was realize how much slower we have to throw than we do on our home arena ices. And that's always a fun challenge. But there's also more curl here, so and the stones curl both ways. We're not throwing the negative ice you and I were throwing on Tuesday, Ryan.
Yeah. This is second Patricia Dickerson with her first for Malia. Also, like, I mean, there's time for practice, especially, I mean, in a competitive environment, which is, I think, an advantage.
Yeah, it depends on the advantage. I mean, I think if you know how to use it well, it's a great advantage. But if you're not necessarily prepared for it, it's a little clunky and awkward. And hopefully teams are learning from that as well, and not like beating themselves up just because they're not quite sure what to do with those 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and also I know just for some teams it's their first time doing the draw shot challenge, and I saw one team, it's like who's supposed to be throwing the rock, which way are you supposed to throwing it and stuff, and
I have not had to do that yet, but I'm sure that is coming for me later tonight, so that will be a fun event.
everyone throws both directions, right?
Yes. At some point this weekend, yeah. Unless you are Team Asis as a team of 5, you might not have to do both, depending on how you team up your players.
Mm-hmm. And the draw shot challenge, or last shot draw, as it used to be known as, is used to determine who has the hammer at the start of the game, and then it's often totaled up to be used as a tiebreaker in the standings.
Yes. So, I mean, it's a nice advantage to have as the tiebreaker, and obviously most teams like to have the hammer as well, but it doesn't mean it's always easy.
So I think this Asis is playing pretty defensive right now, just trying to keep a pretty clear house. There's one blue stone that looks to be biting the edge of the sheets.
It does not appear to be biting if you look at the overhead we have here at the club.
Yeah, although the monitor is kind of cutting off the left and right edges of the sheets. I like to say the camera doesn't tell the whole story, so. And that's true in the warm room too. So just
Nice clear, and it rolls off to the side. Yep. That one could be a biter. It's hard to tell.
looking at the overhead, it looks like it might be nibbling. But by doing that shot, it does open up the middle. And so Malia might have a chance to draw behind cover. As Zoe Canavas gets set. She's the vice for Malia, been curling for 2 years. They finished 4th last year in a field of 6 teams as a new squad, so taking that as an accomplishment. Because you got to start somewhere, and you got to work your way up.
Yes.
Sometimes teams can strike gold right away. We've kind of seen that at the Oval with Team Gilbert, Ramin's team.
Yeah, and I mean, they'll be back again in August for men's playdowns as well, so it'll be exciting to see what they're able to make happen on the Tahoe ice.
So they're like a relatively new squad, and we held our first arena playdowns last year, and they won the whole darn thing. So
They were ranked 10th, if I recall correctly, out of 10 teams.
And that ranking is based on peer seating. The peers kind of evaluated people's resumes, what they knew of the players, and ranked them based on that.
And the bios that you read. That was a great hit. Touch and center line there, and Malia is going to go for it, which is the right call in my opinion here.
I think being able to roll
Yes.
is what you're looking for. Calling for hack weights. So some teams can be pretty solid right out of the gate, but a lot of teams had to put in the work, and that's not to say Team Gilbert didn't put in the work. They put in a lot of work. I've seen it.
Zoe looked really good on that release right there. She looked really stable.
Is it on the guard? No.
No, it did crash. All right.
So
Well, she looked good doing it, so, you know, I'm happy about that.
especially on dedicated ice, because on arena ice, the condition of the ice can kind of hide mistakes. But when you're on dedicated ice, your flaws are amplified. And so I kind of mentioned in an earlier draw that the 3 things to kind of look for when you deliver a curling stone are A, B, and C. You know, alignment, how the stone and the curler goes towards the target. B, balance, and that's kind of how good you look coming out of the hat balance-wise. And C, the curl or the release that you put on the stone.
Yeah. And we're in skip stones now. So this is Jennifer's first, I believe.
Yes. And when you look at it, like a lot, Asis is keeping a pretty clean house, but they're sitting 3. At least 2.
At least 2, maybe 3. This one's, it's only 2. That's what we're being told from the peanut gallery here in the warm room.
It's great to get that feedback, but sometimes you have to like communicate. It's like
There's one missing on that screen.
on the edge, by the wall. The warm room is not convinced.
Alright, so this one's still exposed, and it looks like she's going after it.
Throwing some heats.
It's coming in. It's going to make contact for sure.
Oh, Kathleen.
There we go. Yep.
Watch in front of the camera.
Hit, and this one is also exposed, so I'm going to guess Jennifer's going to go down and hit and try and roll under cover.
I mean, even just getting rid of that red stone is an advantage to Aces.
Yeah.
So in this situation, you want to roll undercover. You don't want to stay exposed because then Malia can make a, depending on how Malia likes to play, she can make a hit and just sit for one.
Yes. And I mean, she could very well do that. And that's essentially what she's going to have to do if she doesn't want to give up points. Because we know they're sitting at least 2, maybe 3. It's hard to tell with what we are able to see from our position here.
So this is Jennifer Asis is last here in the third.
Got some cleaning going on. Always good. Definitely clear. It's a very large court, so that's good. Contact and roll undercover. Nicely done. So the call here has to be a draw. I mean, if you're dividing the 4-foot, that's what you essentially want, or better.
Yes. And that could be one of the advantages of doing the draw shot challenge, is that you had to work on your draw weight to make sure you have it in your back pocket.
I don't know. That ice time fluctuates a lot, especially after the break at the forehand. You might start to see it slow down at that point.
Well, and the other thing for Malia is that you're going from doing an outweight shot with a takeout to dialing it back for a draw.
I think that's the hardest challenge out there, to really take your heartbeat from that powerful hit and bring it down to actually make a good draw shot. And that's something as arena curlers that we don't always see that much.
This is pretty close.
Yeah, it's still gliding.
Sit down.
All right, well, we took the biters away, so it's only 1.
So we don't have to tell if the ones on the edge were scoring or not. So that's a steal of 1 for Aces. And we're going to go into the 4th end. When we get to the 4th end, we're just going to take a 5-minute break. Just kind of think about what we did. There's coaches, and so coaches can talk to the players. There's a 5-minute timeout during the 4th end break, but when the coach wants to talk, there's a coach timeout. And how often have you played with a clock?
Me?
Yeah.
This is my first time. It's a new experience for sure, because you see that clock and you see it ticking down, and it's slightly intimidating, but I also know I'm playing with people that have played with a clock before and they know how to manage their time, so I'm not really ever worried about it, and we haven't had any issues yet. So, and both of these teams are used to clocks as well, it looks like, because their times look pretty good so far with what you can see.
So we're about to start the 4th end as Jacqueline Pitlars gets set. She is playing lead, but she also plays vice, depending on the lineup. Been curling for 2 years. Can you see the score on sheet B on the right?
So sheet B is still playing their 3rd end right now, and the score is 3-0. Feldman has 0, and
So Tucker stole the second
Tucker
one.
has 3.
Okay, so Tucker scored 2 in the first and stole the second one.
Yep.
All right, updating bondspieler.com. Again, that's where you can go to check out live scoring throughout the event, also standings. I would say there's player bios, but there's not really player bios. It gets the job done, though.
By the look of the thrower right there, she is not pleased with that shot.
I think, yeah, they wanted a tight center guard, and it slipped into the house. Looks like Jacqueline's first shot is biting the center line in the guard zone, so that is going to fall under the no-tick rule.
Yeah, that's also new for this weekend. And there was at one point on our second game today, I was called to sweep, and I
I saw that. I think it's like they're sweeping. It's like they just.
We saved it. It did not tick.
Yeah.
But that is something we don't play with at the Oval, and I've not been in a bond skill yet that has enforced that.
One of the issues I've seen with possibly doing the no tick at our club is that the ice just swings so wildly, like especially on the edges, that it would be really hard to have a no tick rule and have the game be playable.
I agree, and I think that's a hard rule for arena curlers in general. I think our ice at the Oval is pretty solid when it comes to arena ice. When I hear about my teammates in Orange County talk about their ice, I am a little bit happier sometimes. But I mean, I think all of us have come to the conclusion that we're just happy to have a place and have ice and have facilities that allow us to have our sport there.
So Alsmeyer is getting set in the hatch. And I think what you said kind of underscores why USA Curling started the Arena National Championship. So to really, kind of help the arena curlers progress as curlers and also kind of feel like they kind of belong in the sport, even though they might not be on the best ice.
Yep. It just, you're playing with good people that are really putting in some time, as much time as you can get on arena ice, and it's fun to kind of have that national championship opportunity for something that maybe you can't even think about in other situations.
So for Team Malia, this is going to be Patricia Dickerson. She's been curling for 2.5 years. She was a participant as skip in the U.S. Women's Curling Association's National Women's Bonspiel. And her proudest moment was second place in the 2024 Dragonspiel.
And where's the Dragonspiel? Does it say?
I don't know.
Is that San Francisco?
It sounds like it would be San Francisco.
I feel like it's San Francisco.
So the thing about the U.S. Women's Curling Association is that they're definitely still committed to promoting women's involvement in the sport of curling, which is great. They used to administer the Women's National Championship.
Okay.
And then the Olympic organization basically kind of said there should just be one body. And so USA Curling took over that for both men's and women's. But U.S. Women's Curling Association is still very much involved in helping to foster the sport. And especially having these national women's bonspiels sounds like a very good opportunity. I wish I could go, but I guess I might not qualify.
I mean, if you choose to identify as a female for that year.
That is very true. That is very true. I don't think it would work out.
I'm just saying.
But that's also one of the nice things about curling is that, as far as I have seen thus far, it's been fairly accepting of people, identifying as they wish, and respecting that there's men's and women's divisions and such.
Yes.
So this is Patricia's second rock, I believe. I think it was hoping for a little bit more curl.
Yep. Great weight in terms of just barely past the tee line there. But just a little bit more curl. He did look a little bit. Yeah, I thought she groomed it a little bit wide, so we'll see what Team Asis can do right now. So Julie's up and she's got the rock.
That's always one of the conundrums is that making sure there's enough ice to get around the guard, but making sure it's still tight enough so that it's not it's not exposed. And in this case, it is exposed, and so Julie's going to make a play on it. And I just let me ask you this, because when we're at the arena, we're playing teams with different levels of skill and experience. Oh, it's around the guard. That looks really nice.
That looks good.
And so I'm kind of getting to the point where when you're playing the newer team, you might be able to make a mistake and they won't be able to take advantage of it. But when you're at a more competitive event, it's harder to get away with making a goof here or there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone tries to bring their top game here, so it's really good to not make too many mistakes. I mean, the best thing you can do is just make sure you tell yourself, you know, I made a mistake. We're moving right now. So
Yeah.
I typically go into a game like, I'm allowed one really bad mistake. And then it allows me to brush it off a lot better. So
I guess that's one reason playing lead is fun, because you can make a mistake and they can usually bail you out by the end of the end. Although,
also, I'm going to interrupt you right now, Ryan. In the chat, someone corrected us. Dragonspiel was in Alabama, and I feel the need to apologize for that because I've got some friends down in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm sorry I messed that up for you guys if you guys are watching the stream right now.
that was a really good draw there. I think Zoe threw that, perhaps. Or maybe that was Patricia's second. I think that was Patricia's second.
Yes, it was.
So sorry about the Dragons. Is that in Birmingham? Birmingham?
Huntsville.
Okay.
Right? Huntsville.
Oh, that's
I
where the
think
club
that's
is.
Dragonspiel.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking there's a school that the mascot's the Dragons.
I don't know enough about Alabama to be commenting on this.
Join us for our next webcast, Fun Facts About Alabama.
I'll feed you fun facts about Kansas all day long. I got that down to a T.
How do you feel about the fact that the more famous Kansas City is not in Kansas?
I mean, that's fine.
So this is Zoe's first shot here. So that was a good shot from Patricia,
Did
but
not clear the port there, so
Yeah.
hit the blue on the side and still very much protecting what is in the house.
I did a sense that I think Malia maybe should have tried to open things up a little bit more to have access to the house, especially the center of the house. At the same time, that's a sound curling strategy where if you don't have the hammer, you want to muck up the middle.
Yes, I mean, that's what they're doing very well right now. The middle is definitely mucked up. When I could be the defensive time, and just things were running a little bit straighter this morning, but I thought GA had a little bit more curl to it, to make to get around some of these guards than what I had this morning, but again, those things change constantly on the ice.
Also, as temperature changes, it was pretty cool this morning. It's heated up outside.
Yeah, here in Tahoe this weekend, I mean, the lows are in the 40s, 45, and the early mornings around 3, 4 o'clock. And so when we're starting our games at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, it's not warmed up to the 88 degrees it is now. Which, I mean, kind of makes it nice because when you leave your accommodations, you can actually wear your curling clothes and not be melting. And be ready to just step on the ice.
So Malia is kind of facing a bit of a jam here. They have 2 rots to make something out of this end. So it looks like they might be looking at a draw, but the draw, I don't think the draw is there. Because they would have to basically be solid button to score. And it looks like they might be trying to open up the center. Are you seeing anything there, Tessa?
There's a lot there. They should be opening it up, and I think that's what they're calling as well. So, I mean, that's what they got to do right now.
The thing is, I like opening things up in terms of the rocks in front of the house, but it very rarely goes the way I want. I threw some heat here.
She's got something.
Okay.
Good way to open that up. Nicely done.
So that was not a true double takeout, but it did open things out. And the reason I mentioned double takeout is because this
We're
event.
sponsored by doubletakeout.com.
Yes. So I think for Asis, just closing that door again, and then Malia might have a in-off or some circus shot to score 1 or 2. So they're calling out 3, it sounds like. I can hear the mics on the guys. And that looks pretty good. Oh.
Ooh, what does that do there?
That was.
Ooh, that puts Malia with the shot rock right now.
Yeah.
We are looking at the overhead screens here in the warm room, so that is how I can tell you with definite knowledge that Malia is sitting 1.
Now, how does Malia get 2 out of this?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, and that's quite a bit of a draw because that's pretty widely guarded up top by those blues. I'm not quite sure that's there at all.
But those guards are pretty high. Although I would say the guard that's to the right is still in the 2 zone. It's in the middle. So it would have to swing a lot, I think. As her final shot of the 4th end is away. And I would agree with you. I think maybe being a little tighter, because either it's there or it's not. And in this case, it's not
there.
Yeah.
So great weight on that one, though.
Oh yeah. So just if they were another foot or 2 to the left, do you think it would have been enough?
It was going to be tight. It kind of just depends how much you can trust your sweepers to keep that line steady. But we are going, this was the end of the 4th, so now we have the 5-minute break.
So Tessa, definitely appreciate you being on the broadcast. This is your escape hatch. Would you like to join us after the break, or would you like to maybe focus on other things related to the event and such?
I'll probably come back for at least one, and this is slightly waking me up.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. Asis is going to have the hammer. We're going to come back in about 5 minutes. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. We are back to our ongoing coverage of Draw 3 from the 2024 Mopac Arena Women's Playdowns, live from Lake Tahoe Epic Curling. So it looks like Malia's first rock went into the house and Asis plucked it out. I'm currently solo right now. If Tessa rejoins us, I'll be sure to bring her back into the broadcast. So this is one of two games in action right now. As you can see on the scoreboard, Asis is up 5-1. On sheet B, the neighboring sheet, it's a pretty close contest right now. Tucker opened up the scoring with a deuce and then stole the second, but Feldman responded with a 4 spot, and they are pushing for another a potential steal of 2, maybe 3 right now on sheet B. We'll definitely update the action as it happens on bondspieler.com. That's bondspieler.com. And that was a steal. Looks like steal was made. They're in their 4th end break, so we will update you as we find out what happens. Right now is a pretty open sheet right now on sheet A, our featured game. We do have a high guard. We call it a Snoop guard. I don't know if that name will stick. So the next rock coming from the second, I believe, for Team Malia. That would be Patricia Dickerson. Again, second in the 2024 Dragon Spiel, which is from Alabama. And that's a really nice draw there. Going to settle in at the top of the house, top 8 foot. And it looks like Asis wants to peel the guard, asking Kathleen to deliver. And Kathleen's prior experience includes attending the Playdowns last year, finishing in 2nd place, and an appeal is made. So there is 1 Malia stone in the house, 1 Malia guard, not really guarding anything on that right side there. So I think looking for a guard, I think the guard's a good move. I always think about splitting the rings at some point. I think the guard is a good move if the guard is made. And it's close. I think the guard was made. It's a little exposed on the outside, but Asis is looking to just remove the guard that was just put in place. And so Alsmeyer was able to go to Arena Nationals, and her squad finished in 2nd place in 2023. That guard is removed, and they tried to spin that blue stone into the house, but it was not going anywhere towards the rings. So it looks like they're going to try and put the guard up again. As we see Zoe get set. Zoe Canavas Was played Vice last year, apparently. And her ring did finish in 4th place, I believe. She notes that she received her doctorate in water resources engineering last December and finally has a big girl job working for the state. So she can now comfortably care for her 45 houseplants and 5-year-old German Shepherd. I would have plants, but I always worry about killing them. Not intentionally, just taking care of them. As Julie Wolf comes down the ice, looking to, I think, pluck out one of the reds. It's pretty close. And mission accomplished there. So Asis has the hammer, but they don't necessarily need to store this end. They could blank the end. So it looks like Malia wants to hit that blue. Just a soft takeout weight, hoping, I think, maybe for a little roll, maybe under that red guard. It's over curling for a roll under the guard. And that's just going to roll to the edge of the 12-foot. And the blue itself doesn't go out of play. It just goes to the back 8-foot. So the hitting game is still on for Aces. Her favorite bonspiel experience for Julie was the 2023 Quebec International Bonspiel, and that was in Quebec City. She hates math, and she is the teammate most likely to dream of being chased by dinosaurs, zombies, or mutants. So with Aces sitting 2 now, I think they're definitely looking to maybe score here. As you get more advanced in the game, it's not just enough to score. You want to score multiple points, especially with the hammer. And it was shaping up to be a potential blank until a couple shots ago. But now with Aces sitting 2, I definitely think that Aces is going to maybe put more chips in the pot to try and score multiple points. That's a poker term, folks. So as Allison Malia gets sets, she was on that squad that was at the Dragon Spiel at Rocket City Curling. Apparently they lost on a draw to the button tiebreaker. Her other interests include the Olympics, reading, and Dungeons and Dragons. That was a draw. It looks pretty good. I think they wanted it undercover though. As it's sitting exposed, Asis should be able to get to it fairly easily. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in for this broadcast. Just to remind you, we have one more draw tonight, coming up at about 7:55 p.m. Pacific. That feature game will be Team Muirs taking on Team Feldman. And then the Sheet B game will be Team Barbary versus Aces. Should be a good nightcap coming up at 7:55 on the Mopat YouTube channel. So looking for a hit. I don't know if it's going to make contact. Oh, it did hit the red, but it jammed on the blue in the bat. And so now this gives Malia an opportunity to steal. I would look to maybe draw on the right side if the stone will come back and like bite the 8-foot. Or that's to prevent a hit on the bat. Although I think if they draw on the side that they're looking at, they want to cover some of the 4-foot. So then Asis can't draw to the button. Although there's a potential for a double if Asis has it in her pocket. So it looks like they are going to draw on that right side. They are calling their timeout. So I think teams have slightly additional time because there are some coaches in the field. And in the spirit of fairness, every team got that additional time. So let's see if we can listen in again. The answer remains it's hard to hear when they're standing in front of the microphones. It's a conundrum I keep trying to solve. As the person running the webcast, I would hope to mic the players at some point, but that is not yet in the cards. Here's the last shot for Malia without the hammer here in the 5th end. Looking at the draw, I think ideally they would maybe want to bite the 8-foot, as I said earlier. But this is perhaps the worst outcome possible. It trashes on the guard. It opens up that shot stone. And so now Asis just needs to punch out that red as Pit Lars has the broom down for it. Just needs to punch out that red, and they are scoring 2 potentially. So here it is, a chance for 2 here. Last rock, the 5th end. Throwing some weight. Looking to hit stick for 2. It's tight. Oh, and it crashes on the guard. They should sweep that red, though. So that is a steal of 1 for Team Malia. Asis still has a 5-2 lead. And the hammer heading into the 6th end. Well, I'll be right back in just a moment. are underway with the sixth ends in Draw 3 of the 2024 MOPAC Women's Arena Playdowns, brought to you by doubletakeout.com. Just saw the lead rock there from Malia. And we're going to see the first stone from Jacqueline Pitlars. She was also on the squad that went to Women's Nationals last year, securing silver. So it looks like she throws lead and is vicing the team.
Like the WCF broadcast, and there's that Scottish lady. I'm like, oh, but Rona's much taller.
And this next stone coming from Kat Kaslovecki. So she was a B bracket winner at the 2023 Barrel Bonspiel. She enjoys cats, having 3. Also enjoys curling, crocheting, baking cupcakes, and camping.
Is that baking cupcakes or eating cupcakes?
It says baking in the bio.
Okay. Baking all things and enjoying cupcakes.
The warm room is suggesting that maybe eating cupcakes is also part of the equation, which would make sense.
Troublemaker.
Next stone coming from Jacqueline.
Basketball, anyone?
We do have wood floors here at the Lake Tahoe Club.
We were having a squeak off.
And so Asis, Team Asis put another stone in the house. And now Malia is going to make a play on it with Patricia's first stone here in the 6th. There is something happening on sheet B. Team Feldman stole 3 in the 4th, and they're about to finish the 5th, and they're sitting 5 stones in scoring position.
If you're playing for 8, you bang it off the board and bounce both your rocks back into the ring.
So this stone here is going to kind of go through the goalpost, through that port. And so now it looks like Kathleen's being asked to peel that guard. As you can see where Jennifer is. Alice Meyer was also at the U.S. Women's Curling Association National Bonspiel. Was second, also vice, and ending as a D event semifinalist. Also at last year's MOPAC 5 and Under, finishing second, or she played second, pardon me, and was in the A event quarterfinal. So that appeal was made. And this is Zoe's first. Some of her other curling accomplishments include the MOPAC 5 and Under 2024 B event winner. Was also a B event runner-up in the Silicon Valley Bonspiel, and won the C event in the 2024 Barrel, which is the Wine Country's spring Bonspiel. Here's Kathleen's next. Calling for some sweeping. You can see Jennifer's hand gesture there. Looks pretty close. I wonder if they're hoping for a little bit of a roll. Well, in this case, it's probably too much of a roll. So there are now 6 blue stones on sheet B. And I think the Red Rocks is Team Tucker, and I think they're looking for maybe any way out here, out of this situation.
There's no way of they should call it a day.
So, as I'm looking at the situation upstairs, on our feature sheet, it looks like Malia is able to throw a hit and stick. So it's now Malia sitting 1 with Ace having a blue rock on the wing there. They are clearing the ice. They counted them up, and I think did they break the board? In terms of running out of numbers on the scoreboard. Okay, they didn't break the board, but it's a pretty big number.
Two blues up at the top of the house, like right near each other. And she called John. We were all like, "What?"
It was our chance to practice the song.
That's what we said afterwards. But we were also like, "What?"
So this shot from Julie coming down the way for Asis, gonna kick out that red Malia stone. So now Asis is sitting 2 on the right wings. 1 second. They're saying 6 for Feldman. And I'm going to update Bondspieler, so bear with me while I do that. And once again, you can always check out all the scores at bondspieler.com. But Feldman has a commanding 13-3 lead over Team Tucker over on Sheet B. Tucker being a relatively new squad. But that's a lot of crooked numbers there on Sheet B, where it's after Tucker scored the first 2 ends, it's been all Feldman since with scores of 4, 3, and 6.
Last time you did something before the Playdowns, you wrecked your ankle.
So returning to our feature sheet, it looks like Malia was able to hit and roll off of one of the Asis rocks. And Julie gets set to, I think, hit out that Malia stone. So Julie is playing 3rd in the situation. She's been curling for 9.5 years. She was also on that squad from that went to Arena Nationals, finishing in 2nd place last year. That shot is made. The shooter rolls to the wing. So Asis has the hammer. There's a potential for a blank here as Malia talks it over with one of her teammates. Looks like Zoe. It looks like they do want to hit and roll. And that would just increase the chances of a blank ends. I can't even compute the numbers. But there's one room says 17.3% chances of a blank. Oh no, on A. Because it's a pretty open house. If Malia gets rid of the Aces Bluestone, there's only 1 rock in play in the house. So Malia's rock is away. He's the curl. Does make contact, kisses the blue. That blue goes out of play, and the red is going to be escorted to the back of the house. Just hanging on, not quite by a thread. So Aces has 2 stones, and if Aces were able to make her last 2 stones count, that's what we call a skip's deuce, or a skipper's deuce, which is also a popular brand of toilet paper in Canada. So it looks like Asis is going for the head. So a very dramatic launch there from Asis. It's got some heat. Let's see if it's got the line. 1 second. There's the camera. Sweepers are off. So it does make the contact.
Percentage is like 38% now.
38% chance of a blank. Warmer's having fun. One of the differences between arena ice and dedicated ice is that there's often a bar on the premises at dedicated clubs. I'm not saying people are indulging, but some people are feeling very relaxed and loose. So, looks like Malia's just going to draw here. I think if they could draw to that blue in the back on the right, on the left, pardon me, that could have, that could have led to a force. But they're just going to do a draw. So Allison Malia is last here in the 6th. It's a pretty good draw, binding the top 8 foot. So now the blank is on. I would say there's an 80% chance of a blank. Jennifer just needs to make that red go away and roll out for the blank, and carries the hammer to another end. And her shot's away here. Last rock. Hammerstone coming from Jennifer Asis. Needs to hit and roll out for the blank. It's going to hit. It's going to stick. So the force was on. Asis held to a single point, taking a 6-2 lead into the 7th end. And looks like some conversation just between the teams. So while they do that, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2024 MoPac Women's Arena Playdowns, coming to you live from Lake Tahoe Epic Curling. Have a pretty good game developing between Team Asis of Silicon Valley and Team Malia of Wine Country. Asis has had pretty good control of this game, but Malia is sticking around. As the first rock from Asis is a centerish guard, but not a true center guard. As we see the first stone coming from Kaslavecki. Kaslavecki, let's see her. She enjoys baking cupcakes. So that is also a centerish guard. I think Asis wants Pit Lars to draw around. Well, looks like she's throwing towards the wing, just based on her release. All right, maybe I saw the release a certain way that I wasn't expecting. Going for a hit and raise. Raises the blue to the back 12 foot at about 8 o'clock. So Malia is asking Kat to draw around.
The taste of Tahoe does like Swiss.
Looking for a draw around. I think this is going to be a little light. See it curl right there. I got 14-3. Oh, that was close to getting around that guard. I don't know if my stopwatch or the cameras caught the time correctly, because I earlier thought that 14-3 was close to key line. And that was a bit short from what I was expecting. I think we had our first no-tick rule violation, as that red came down. I think it tapped the blue off the center line, and that's why that red was removed. So this draw is going to go to the back of the house, maybe threw out of play. It's sitting down now, though. So I have a little bit of a motion stutter there. I do have memories of the camera gear freezing at a different club, and that does lead to performance issues. This is pretty wide, also looking light again. Oh, it's coasting a little bit. This looks pretty good, actually. So Alsmeyer is throwing her second. I think looking to maybe sit right on top of that red that was drawn. That red was really great. That was a really great shot. Asis wants more sweeping. Sweepers are giving it all they've got. Where is it going to end up? It ends up, I think, biting the 12-foot. And Julie needed to pause to catch her breath, maybe. So Malia is putting up a guard. And I'm curious about what her end goal strategy is. As we see Cannabis throw her first. They ask for a guard. And let's see what's on store. What's on store? What's on tap? This is coming in a little wide. This sells in as a tight guard. So people who are not used to curling, this is for you. When you play a game, you kind of approach a game having a goal for the game, and then having a goal for each end, and then being willing to adjust the goals as the game progresses. Looks like it was handshakes on sheet B. I'll let you guys know what the final score is on that when I find out. As you see, Julie's first stone, I believe, come down the way.
Save your energy.
Helps if I turn the mic on. So just to recap really quickly, the final on sheet B was Team Feldman 17, Team Tucker 3. And I was noting there was some laughter on the ice as Malia's ring tried to sweep that stone as close as possible. And I was noting that Asis has a pretty good situation developing in the house, although I do now remember seeing that Malia Red Rock sitting a shot stone. So it looks like they're going to try that raise again. Although maybe not. It looks like it's going to bring the red into play. Not too much. Excuse me. Asis does have a little house money to play with. And let's see here. This is Zoe's last here in the 7th. Not quite sure what the strategy here is. The rock is not moving fast to do it like a full takeout. I think the goal is to maybe make it harder to do a run back. And I would think mission accomplished.
Plenty of time.
So, kind of looking over the situation between Jacqueline and Jennifer. Looking for a draw here. I think looking to set something up. Although, it's going to be tricky to set something up. When you look at the over-the-shoulder shots, the red rock is going to be hard to move anywhere, really. It's maybe moving it laterally to the left about a foot, and you could maybe score 2 with a really solid in-off. And here is Jennifer Asis' first. Without the hammer. And let's see where that ended up. Ends up into the pile. So, looking to see what Malia can do to open things up.
Sorry, I didn't go back.
That's okay.
I intended to, and then I didn't.
So this is looking like a draw guard.
I already told you I'd buy you dinner or breakfast or something.
So now Aces. His last shot without hammer here. I think looking to draw again just to make it that much harder for Malia to make any sort of play towards the button. Jennifer shots away. I think they want to keep it high. I think they wanted to maybe draw around that red. So I don't know if Malia was going to make a play on it. But there's that red rock that was on the right side, kind of where Malia is stepping next to. If that blue guard wasn't there, there could have been a potential run back or a raise towards the button. And, okay, so it also looks like earlier in the end, Malia was trying to make a raise on the left side, and that was one of the shots that came up short, I believe. So here is the hammer, last shot, 7th end, Allison Malia. Weight's pretty good. I don't know if the line's close for a hit and roll or an in-off. It's slowing down though. It's not there. So that is a force of 1 for Team Malia. And Asis will hold a 6-3 lead coming home in the 8th end when we come back to the 2024 Mopac Women's Arena Playdowns, brought to you by DoubleTakeout.com. Just a reminder that our quadruple header concludes tonight with our feature game between Team Ewers and Team Feldman. That'll start at about 7:55 Pacific. The Sheet B game is going to be Team Barbary versus Team Asis. So hopefully come back for that to the Mopac YouTube channel. And then we have a quadruple header of games set for Saturday, starting at 8:55 in the morning. Other draws include 12:25, 4:25, and 7:55. All time specific. Check your local listings for more information. First stone coming from Castle of Ekby.
That's the only thing I have left.
This is Jacqueline's first rock of the end. So by the end of the day, I think half of the teams will have played more than half of their games. And so we might have a better picture of the field and the standings when we see you tomorrow morning at about 8:55. As I mentioned, there's 21 different permutations of how the playoffs might proceed. And I definitely don't want to start narrowing those options down until I know more about the standings. And we do have standings on Bonspieler, I believe. And again, it's at bonspieler.com. We do have standings. So right now Feldman is at 2-0. Ace is at 1-0, likely to move to 2-0 depending on the outcome of this game. Barbary and Mewers are in the hunt with 1 win, 1 loss. Next stone coming from Jacqueline. I think just looking to put up a corner guard. Malia does have that center guard pretty high, but the no-tick rule is in effect. So it looks like Malia wants Patricia to draw a round. Bit of an ad there. This weight looks a little light, perhaps. It's on the guard. So Malia does not have the hammer. Needs to generate some offense. And so I think Asis wants to clear those guards and eliminate any places that Malia can try to hide. And this is Tathlin's second shot. Looking to peel some guards. Going to get 1, I believe. And indeed, 1 is removed. So Malia looking to draw in now. Looking to see if it's going to curl back, I believe. Also sweeping for a distance. And to make sure to around the guard, it's around the guard. So they're off, so they're sweeping for line. And it does settle in. That's a great shot. I think we've seen a lot of seconds and thirds really pulling their own weight when it comes to drawing. So, but however, there's a port, and it looks like Alsmeyer is being asked to shoot the port and pluck out that red rock. As the sweepers switch sides, do a bit of a do-si-do. Has some heat. Let's see if it's through the port. It looks like it's on one of the blues. It does clear those two guards. And so Malia is sitting first while Asis has second and third. And rocks are Team Malia's friend at this point. Canvas gets set. Looking for a draw, I think, hoping to be a second shot, providing some cover to the shot stone. Looks to be maybe a smidge heavy. Maybe plan B is to freeze on top of the red. And that is what happened. So now Jennifer's going to take it on. At least get one of the reds removed. If with a really lucky shot, maybe pop them both out. This is Julie's first here for Team Aces. Calling for sweeping. Just one, just them both moving. That was a pretty great shot there from Julie. So now Asis is sitting 1, 3, and 3, and Malia is sitting 2 and 4. So Malia is going to try and work some magic on her own, their own, as Zoe gets set. Through some up weights. And this is probably going to miss everything. So now Asis is going to make that red go away. And so now we're also to the point of the game where Asis could run Team Malia out of stones. Because there's a lot of blue on the sheet and not a lot of red. Oh, and just kisses it. Malia still has a chance. But she needs to be sitting 3 when it's all said and done. Looking for, I think, a hit and a roll. I think it's going to be really hard to hit that close to the nose to really stick around. So I think they're banking on some sort of roll. Both teams have plenty of time. to throw 2 stones each. If they take more than 3 minutes to discuss throwing a stone, I would have deep questions. So Malia kind of threw her hands up, and that is just going to be a miss. And that is going to be, is it going to be? I think it should be, but maybe not. Not quite handshakes. As Asis makes her way down the ice. Asis learned to curl in Austin, Texas. Sounds like a fun place to learn how to curl. Looking for a takeout to cement the win here. Looking pretty good. Just calling for clean. Now they're digging in. That red goes away. And they're still playing. And there we go, we have handshakes. So that will conclude the game. I do believe that because Malia didn't throw her last rock, the last end doesn't count. I will confirm that. But regardless, it is a win for Team Asis to join Team Feldman at the top of the table here. Very early yet in this round robin event. Hopefully we are going to see these teams again tonight and tomorrow. Well, not necessarily on this sheet, but again, our nightcap starts at about 7:55 as Team Muirs faces Team Feldman. And then the B game, or the sheet B game, is Team Barbary versus Team Asis. And then again, tomorrow we have a full quadruple header on tap starting at 8:55 a.m. I hope you'll join us then. Until later tonight, this has been your host, Ryan Olson, on behalf of MoPac, Lake Tahoe Epic Curling, doubletakeout.com. So long and good curling.